All right, I'll just get started. I know some people are still lunching, but that's okay. We're all friends here. So my name is Lynn Root, and I will be talking about, community and what makes a great community. Probably at every talk, someone asks, are there any Ruby folks? So can I have some hands? A little bit more than I thought, actually. And what about Python? All right. All right, so I did a little homework, and I was wondering, I asked my friends, both Python and Ruby folks, what makes a good community, or what do they like about their respective community? And so I got a lot of these words, and so I did a little tag cloud. But can anyone take a guess which language this is that they're referring to? You got Ruby, yeah. What? No one thinks Python? How about hands? Let's do some. Who thinks Ruby? Okay, who thinks Python? How about it's both? A little trickery right there. So I know that there's these code wars, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's humorous. I think, there are a lot of people that bitch over, which language is better or worse. I think Alex Gaynor does it really well on Twitter when he's, complaining about Ruby. But, there's a reason why people choose their respective language. People like Haskell for the intellectual challenge, or people do, Java because, well, they have to at work. So it's really personal preference. I honestly, I don't really think one language is better than the other, although I know Python's more awesome, I'm sorry. But eventually I will have to learn Ruby for my job. But one time this gal is actually kind of slandering me a little bit because I do a lot of workshops with Python, and I get a lot of new folks. And they're always asking me, should I learn Ruby or should I learn Python first? And of course I can't answer that. We have, in San Francisco, where I'm from, we have Railsbridge, and then we have PyLadies. So there's a big support group for both. But who really cares? It's just community is important, and so let's just make it better. So I kind of wanted to I really like this quote, actually. The importance of community is not in the crusade, but in how you unify people to march forward together, side by side. And that guy's pretty awesome just with his last name. I just think it's an awesome last name. So really quickly, just want to do a little about me. A lot of people actually here already know who I am. But I work for Red Hat. I just joined a year ago, and I am from San Francisco. I started the San Francisco chapter of PyLadies. And so a little my spiel that I tell everyone. I graduated with a business degree 4 years ago in finance and econ, and started working in banking, managing banks' money and whatnot. And I actually really wanted to get a PhD in economics. I enjoyed monetary policy and wanted to be a part of the Federal Reserve. So I tried to get into a PhD program, but it turns out it's extremely hard. So I wanted to go maybe more of the markets route. So I decided to prepare myself for a financial engineering master's degree. And in order to actually, apply for such a program, one needs some programming competency. So actually last year, I took a course at Harvard, or through the Harvard Extension program. It was Intro to Computer Science. And literally failed both exams. Not a B+ isn't an A, but we're giving you a D because they're kind of nice. So I couldn't understand. Everything was in C, and I couldn't understand pointers and dereferencing and memory allocation, what have you. So I did my final project actually in Python because I saw that language. Someone was using it, and I was like, it's like English rather than, I don't know, C. So I did my final project in Python and Django. I am an econ nerd, so it was and a web application that estimates a user's personalized inflation rate over like the last 10 years based on income and expenses. So because I had learned Python and Django, I got like an A- in the course. And so I don't know how that computes, but it was kind of awesome. But I actually got a lot of enjoyment from making that final project. Staying up till like 3 a.m. trying to like fix something and build something. Much more enjoyment than like Excel spreadsheets and whatnot. So then I decided actually to learn to code for the past year, and I've been learning to code, and I've essentially created my own community when I'm learning how to code. I started off with, there's a group in San Francisco called Women Who Code, and I did a little study group. We met like once a week for 8 weeks, and did little projects and tried to learn Python. And then it spawned off into PyLadies, and so the way that I learn programming, the way that I learn Python is through teaching. And so like I literally learned like the day before or something, and then try and regurgitate what I learned. But it grew from like maybe about 20 or 30 women doing this study group to now there's about 550 PyLadies women in San Francisco. And I've helped like create other chapters in the U.S., including like Atlanta, New York, and Seattle, and Portland, and I'm trying to start one here while I'm here for the next like month or so. So it's been quite good. So that's my story. So when I was having this group of people with me and learning, there's this sort of like community-driven ethos, and I really like this sort of term. It's basically people getting together because we all share the same interests. And so I started my community because I wanted to learn, and others wanted to learn with me. And for some reason, folks kept returning. You know, like I didn't scare them off or anything. So, so basically, it essentially breaks down to, you know, hey, you're a nerd, me too. Let's hang out. Okay, thanks, bye. You know, like. We're all nerds. Actually, someone said that I can't be a nerd or a geek or whatever because I socialize. Yeah, I'm calling out my coworker right here. But you know, I think I'm a nerd. And so it boils down to creating a sense of belonging. You know, we're all weird and awkward teenagers growing up and trying to understand like social dynamics and trying to fit in. And some of us, like myself included, still are trying to figure out like social dynamics and whatnot. But that urge to belong somewhere is still like lies within us. And so we can kind of like harp on that to create that sense of community is we want to have a sense of belonging, and so let's actually do something about it. Now, okay, so what do? I kind of told you a little bit, but PyLadies, it's a mentorship group for women in the Python community. And the goal is to increase women's involvement, both in Python and open source software. So I run the San Francisco PyLadies, and I'm starting the Czech Republic one, and maybe going down to Croatia and starting it too. But we host events mostly for women, but like for our hack nights and stuff, it's like women +1. So like it could be of either gender to make sure there's still the majority women at these events. And so basically we just like hack together and whatnot and be geeky and stuff. So I also try and speak a lot, well, today included, speak about getting women involved, and I host workshops, and I'm always available for folks that have like questions when they're learning Python. A big component of PyLadies and of I guess this mission of mine is kind of creating that safe space for folks to learn, to ask those stupid questions. Well, not really stupid, they're just like. I mean, everyone has a stupid question, but it's not really stupid. So I've been told that because having only women at workshops, it kind of alleviates that the confidence issue, and you can get over yourself, and it's not very competitive and whatnot. So, and so I have this new initiative with PyLadies, and you see it a lot in PyCon and in other conferences, and actually the Plone community did it too, is to adopt like a code of conduct to really drive home that that a safe space is necessary for everyone to participate in and feel included. And then I also like, I socialize. I might not be a nerd, but I socialize. So I mean, I try and get to know people, and I try to get other people involved. I've pushed women to like submit talks to PyCon and other conferences, and I help them, make proposals. I kind of push them to talk at my own like PyLadies meetups and whatnot, and host workshops. And I also, like, I'm sure you guys can relate that one of the best parts of conferences is like the hallway track, and so you can get to know people, and you can get to talk and spread the word about PyLadies, or whatever you do. It's great. So I want to actually I do a lot, but there's more that can be done, and other folks can do this within the Ruby or Python community elsewhere. So essentially now, like, what can you do? To start off is let's see, diversity outreach. The Python Software Foundation actually does a fantastic job of this. The Python Software Foundation is like the legal entity behind Python. And I don't think that exists for Ruby. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no like Ruby Software Foundation, which is a little disappointing. But the PSF helps a lot with PyLadies and with funding, and also reaches out to like minority groups or smaller locations, and to help sponsor like small conferences and whatnot. So they're really trying, I mean, in essence, their goal is to like prolong like the Python language, right? But it's also to increase like diversity in the community. There's also, actually, it's kind of interesting. Has anyone heard of like a Railsbridge? Yes, kind of. Railsbridge, and there's also Rails Girls. Railsbridge, I don't know if it started in San Francisco, but it's huge in San Francisco, and maybe about once a month, these women host like a Ruby on Rails workshop, and it's free for women, and it's basically 1 weekend long. You learn how to build a Rails app. And then the Boston Python user group kind of stole that idea and implemented themselves with Python, because they wanted to increase women in their own user group meetups. And so they started to do a once-a-month workshop, teaching Python, not necessarily like building something, but an introduction to the language. And so that happened, I think, within the past year. And then in November, December of last year, PyLadies started up in LA. And so like there's a lot of cross like contamination or whatever, like inspiration stolen from both languages. So yeah, like I think that it would be quite awesome to get more Rails Girls, more Railsbridge, and more PyLadies in Europe, since there's only a handful. Also, if you need help starting something like that around here, please, I'm always willing to help. Another thing that you folks can do is kind of like increase like your own involvement and give a talk and speak and whatnot, or like enjoy the I don't know. So Meetup.com is quite popular in San Francisco and in the U.S., but I know that's not really here. But perhaps there's something else like that in the area where you can have like a monthly meetup of Python or Ruby or whatnot. I know there's Pivo, there's like a monthly Python meetup for this area, which I have yet to attend to, but. To have those events is actually really important. So you can bring your colleagues. You can say, come join me and come learn something new and whatnot. I also encourage folks to mentor. There's this interesting program in San Francisco. It's called Hackbright. Has anyone heard of Hackbright? No one. Okay. So has anyone heard of Hacker School? I think that's in New York. Yeah. So it's basically like a 3-month program or so. And Hackbright's specifically for women, and it's in Python. And they bring women in who know nothing about coding and whatnot. And they teach them Python and like Django and Flask and everything else. So at the end of the 10 weeks, they essentially have a job. There's employers like Eventbrite and maybe not necessarily Google, but there's like huge companies that like invest in this. And so these women go through this program, and then they seek out mentors and whatnot. So it's actually quite important to have that mentor for women and for new folks in general to be able to reach out and to feel comfortable asking those kind of innocent or naive questions. Second to last point is, again, is to invite and encourage folks. I often kind of poke people and say, hey, you should be a speaker or something. I know that you wrote a blog post about this subject, so why don't you like submit a talk? And that actually, I think that effort has like increased the number of women who have submitted talks to PyCon, and the actual organizers have said to me that like because of that, there's significantly increase in the number of women submitting talks. Last point is to create that safe space for your community, and it might just be like kind of have that energy and that welcoming environment, and it might also be what like Plone did and what other conferences do is have that code of conduct in place. So there's something that people can comfortably rely on that, yes, this is our goal. We want everyone to feel comfortable. I haven't heard of many Ruby conferences that actually implement their own code of conduct, but I know that the Ada Foundation has called out like the Python community for being so proactive in implementing code of conducts. So perhaps that's something that the Ruby community can learn from. So my last point is basically like community is not like a yes or no question. It's more of a how. It's what you can do. It requires action, outreach, and like genuine interest in elevating the level of community for that community-driven ethos. Short presentation, but yes, that's it. And I often like to leave some time at the end, just like because I enjoy the conversation afterwards and the questions. So, so thank you. Is there any questions? Yeah.
What is the hardest?
The hardest?
Yes.
What are you referring to?
In this what you are doing.
It's like the hardest that I've experienced in trying to like grow the community and whatnot, or
maybe what is the greatest problem?
It's I've encountered a lot of women having confidence issues, so they're very shy, and so in order to get over that is have beginner workshops very often, and so they can, even if they go to one workshop, they feel welcome to come again and whatnot, because there's a lot to learn. But yeah, so it's that confidence issue that that women that I've encountered. It's a good question. Anyone else?
What would you suggest for people who would like to start something like you said, this 10-week program for women that don't know anything? And because I personally know some of them, they are like, I really don't know Python, but if I knew, I would try that. So maybe this would be really interesting here in Brno or somewhere else.
Yeah.
What would you suggest as a starting point?
Well, I can put you in connection with the folks that started Hackbright. It takes a lot of work. There's two gentlemen that actually run it. One teaches and leads, and one does the business part of it. And it takes a lot of work. And it's their full-time job now. So, it is a full day every day, like 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. But yeah, if you're interested in that, I can put you in contact with how they started that. Yeah.
So especially the Bay Area has a lot of really established women.
Mm-hmm.
Do they participate
Oh, yes.
or reach out?
Yeah, it often only just takes a simple email. Hey, do you want to come, hang out with Pi Ladies or whatnot? So I've gotten, does anyone know Gail McDowell, the gal that wrote the Cracking the Coding interview book, and it's very popular. She worked at Google and Microsoft. She was both an engineer and a recruiter, and so she came into Pi Ladies and to Women Who Code and like hosted how to do a technical interview. And Guido van Rossum has come to a few Pi Ladies events. A lot of other prominent folks have come. It just takes a simple email, and everyone's really like interested in supporting women in the Python community and in general. So, yeah. Anyone else? You guys are shy. You need to wake up. Maybe you're still digesting your lunch. I don't know. If you want stickers, I have Pi Ladies stickers. You should come get one. Alrighty. Thank you, folks. Oh. You email me and I can start it for you. No, there's like
I mean, like for the new girl members of the community.
How do you mean?
How do you invite them?
It's basically, it starts off with like a word of mouth. The meetup is so huge in San Francisco and in general US area that it's actually really easy to like promote your group and your own event. But then it usually just starts off with a coworker, or you're in school and you invite your friend out to a meetup and stuff. So it kind of spreads. Does that answer your question? Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I think one interesting thing to point out, Lynn hosted a Pi Ladies workshop at Red Hat Friday, and the feedback originally when we told you we were going to have it is you're going to get like 5 girls. It was packed.
Yeah.
I think more women than we can probably realistically handle. So the
Yes.
energy is there.
Mm-hmm.
The women are there, but I think companies really have to care.
Mm-hmm.
Have to want to engage women. And I can see, one thing I really like about Red Hat is that they're really trying to find women and to engage women and to recruit women.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care and you don't notice, then yeah, they're really hard to find. So if you can, go back to your companies, go back to your groups, and try to make an effort to get people involved.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And mind you, Tyler's the one that hired me.
There's also the GNOME outreach program for women.
Yes, that.
It was announced on Friday, I think.
That's correct. Yeah.
Think how to for women.
Yeah.
The open source projects.
Yeah. Very good point. Yeah.
And how many apps did you get?
Lynn did 3.
In like a
We have
day.
just one slot.
One slot. We got 23 apps for women around the world.
Wow.
This internship.
I think I got that email like 3 or 4 times, so it definitely circles around. Alrighty. Well, I'm here to talk afterwards too. So, thank you for coming.